how can my husband and I pay off over $40,000 in debt, stay debt-free, and be able to teach our kid good money habits when our habits are in the toilet?
What's the question behind the question?
Okay, so my husband and I have been married for almost 20 years. We've been together since we were in high school sweethearts.
Gross. Gross.
I know. It's so great. I'll send you the prom picture. It's great.
Oh, gosh. Is there like, I don't want to wait. Like Dawson's Creek's playing in the background. So great.
No, it was Celine Dion because it was the Titanic.
Oh, my gosh. Jack, I'll never let go. I love that. Okay. All right. So.
Sorry. So we're a law enforcement family. My husband's been in law enforcement for over 20 years. I'm also a special needs mom for 14 years. And so one of the proudest moments was when I gave birth to my son. The next day was payday, and I paid off our credit card. And I was like, this is the best.
Amazing.
And then our son started down this road of all these medical needs, and nobody knew what was going on with him. And we spent the next 4 years trying to figure out a diagnosis for him. So,
where'd you land?
Like I'm sorry.
Where'd you land diagnostically?
It's a really rare diagnosis that like 32 people in the world have.
Oh man.
But thankfully everything is controlled. We've got therapy, we've got medication.
Great.
Like life is good in that. We've got, we figured out some financial stuff that we can use for financial assistance. So like that's been great. But it just feels like whenever we get a chance to get ahead, like we do really well, and then all of a sudden we're back into our old habits. And so I know of about $45,000 in debt. I secretly feel like there's more. One of the things I told him about at the beginning of the year is like, we need to sit down and like really be honest about our finances, where we're at, and how we're going to do better, because we have a 12-year-old as well, who is like has no concept of money, and we are not doing a great job set him up for success. So what is the best way to have this conversation with my husband, who is prideful in what he does, which, I love him. He's been an amazing, supportive husband and has always provided. Like he's working 6 days a week. He's working as much as he can to try to help make ends meet. And so we just aren't coming up with a great plan that's helping us move forward in the right direction.
Yeah. So, yeah, totally. 100%. And that's, I come from this house. I'm a product of this house. Okay. My dad was a law enforcement guy, an amazing guy who worked his butt off, worked extra jobs. And so there's two things at play here. Number one, the idea of having to budget your money often signals to a man who grew up with a picture of what being a husband and what being a provider looks like as a symbol, like a bat signal that you haven't made it yet. You're failing your family.
No, that's true.
The fact that we have to budget for money is just a reminder that my neighborhood, I'm a public servant. The public doesn't give a crap about me. I remember watching, dude, it's visceral watching my dad's face swipe the ATM card hoping there'd be money in there because he had kids with groceries. And I remember as a kid thinking, if that's what the public thinks of public service, I'm out. Screw you guys. Because people try to shoot my daddy and we can't afford groceries. I remember being like 12 and being that cognizant. So I think number one is understanding that for your husband, the thought that we have to sit down and plan what we're going to buy and not buy might be felt in his chest as, yep, it's true, you're failing your family financially. Okay? And so it's easier than coming at somebody like, we need to, you need to. It's a compassionate way to go, dude, you're not failing our family. Okay? The second thing is shifting that needle from, it's redefining what protect and provide mean. What I have found in my house is it is easier for me to go shoot my guns and become a great marksman. It's easier for me to go take some boxing classes and some kickboxing classes and to get back into MMA training stuff. Mm-hmm. It's easier for me to go work out than it is for me to, on a day-by-day basis, show up and be a steady, joyful, delightful presence in my own home. Okay? And so what I have to do for myself and convincing a whole generation of men that providing is financial, but you also need to provide an electric-free home. Provide a joyful, stable, or as Dr. Becky Kennedy calls it, a sturdy presence inside your house. And I have come to believe, for me, the gym, the shooting range, the whatever, fill in the blank, is a numbing device. It's a distraction from, I don't know how to provide stability inside my house. So I'm going to provide. You got my direct deposit. That's what you get. I'm going to go protect and do these other, right? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Your husband, from his training, knows how to protect better than 99.6% of the population. He's got that down.
Yep.
Right? He needs to have you gently yet and compassionately yet directly help him redefine what protect means. Is I need you to protect my spirit. I need you to protect our finances. I need you to protect our family in the event that you die, which you will now or you will later.
Yeah.
And that we have money so that our special needs kid can continue to get the services he needs. So that one of our other kid can go to college. So that I don't have to I get a chance to grieve you. I don't have to immediately go to work on Monday.
Right.
And so it's just redefining protect and provide. And in my house, my wife has done an extraordinary job of holding my hands in those hard seasons and letting me know any talk of financial failure is in my head. It's not in hers.
Okay.
The failure on my part is not budgeting in reality, not spending in reality.
Right.
That's my failure, right?
Yeah.
And by the way, as I've continued to work here where I work and been around different people, the wealthiest people on the planet that I've met, they all budget. It looks differently, but I just thought there was this place you get and you just never think about it again. That place doesn't exist. Right. It's not a thing.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Or if they are, their money will be gone in a generation. It'll go away.
Long term,
yeah,
yes.
Just goes away.
And I think that's where he's trying to figure out, like we've got some investment properties that, I don't know a ton about. He knows more about that than I do. I see it as another place for us where we're spending money. And he's like, but it's coming out of the business. I'm like, but it's supposed to be an investment, but we're in debt.
Here's the words.
Long term.
I don't feel safe in my home not knowing where our money is, where our investments are, and how much we owe. Will you help me feel safe?
Yep.
This year during our annual retreat, my wife and I go on that annual retreat every year. This year was my favorite one we've ever done. But I did something different this year, and I watched her body change. I went and I called a buddy. She's a real estate agent here in Nashville. I called her and asked her to run an appraisal, run comps on my properties. I called my SmartVestor Pro and said, I need a detailed accounting of everything. I got everything. I even got all the guns, all the guitars, all of my, if I die today, here's what this stuff is worth. And it wasn't just like fake what it's worth. This is like, if you had to sell this today, this is what you could probably get for it.
Okay.
And then I had the life insurance policy and the number, here's who you call. And I read it off to start our meeting. Here's where we are financially. And I watched my wife's shoulders just drop to the floor. Mm. And I remember laughing and I was like, you know all this? And she's like, yeah, but just seeing it. And she didn't verbalize this, but I think the fact that I went and got it beforehand told her he's invested in making sure I'm safe.
Yeah.
And my wife knows that. I know how to fight, and she knows I'm fast. I know how to run. If I need to run away from, it's like, that's not the kind of protection. The protection that applies to most of us is if our house burns down, what then?
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
And so I think it's just redefining what's safe and what protect and what provide actually means right now.
Yeah.
And there may be another side to this. There may be a wife listening to this right now, and she knows exactly where every account is. Her husband makes a whole bunch of money, and she thinks he's in danger of a heart attack any day because he's never been to the gym. The protect and provide conversation in that household might be, I'm worried you're a ticking time bomb. If you want to protect me, you want me to feel safe, I want you to go to a doctor. I want you to get an exercise program. I want you to start lifting weights. I want you to do something, right? You get what I'm saying? So that
absolutely.
means something different in every house. But most of the men I know right now have doubled down on the thing that's easiest for them, and they are puffing up like a balloon and expecting their whole families to just get behind that. And families are going, hey, whoa, you can lift a lot of weight and you can run real far. I don't feel safe.
Right. And another kind of like side to this. So I have stayed at home with my boys since I've, given birth. And there's a guilt factor in that I spend money because of the house. I buy things for the house. Boys' haircuts, groceries, whatever. And there's a guilt factor that I have because I'm not working outside the home to bring in some income to be able to help the family. Any advice for that?
I mean, that's a story you're telling yourself that you have to choose to stop telling. Because it's not true.
Okay.
I mean, has your husband told you that?
No, but there is the occasional like, oh, your boyfriend's in the neighborhood, also known as the Amazon man, who delivers my packages.
Yeah, but I mean, is he being silly?
I think he is.
Okay.
But like sometimes after you start to hear things over and over again, you're like, wait, is this reality? Like, am I really? But and it's a battle, and I think it's also just my work history. And like, I used to be the provider. I used to be the one that was the breadwinner between the two of us before we had kids. And then now it's kind of gone.
Yes. And
so just trying to let that go.
So I think you and him need to go have a great, like, let's reimagine our marriage now. We have a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. We've never been married with a 12-year-old and a special needs 14-year-old. Mm-hmm. And I'm feeling an itch to go back to work. Or every time I buy something, I feel like I'm a net drain on the household. Do you feel that too? I see you working so hard in so many jobs and doing so much stuff, and I miss you.
Yeah.
Like, I think there's just a moment to settle in. And you can say things like, the story I tell myself is when you make a joke about my boyfriend, the Amazon guy being around, that somehow me buying stuff for the house like doesn't sit well with you.
Yeah.
Right? And he can learn not to make that joke anymore. Or you can learn, it's just a stupid story I'm telling myself. I'm running this household. I'm taking my CEO skills that I was using at another place when I was a breadwinner, and I'm running this thing.
Yeah.
And he can say, the story I'm telling myself is, you love me a little bit less because I don't make more money.
Yeah.
And y'all can give yourself an opportunity to be open and kind of level set. Because the joking, like in my house, that's always a joke. My wife was a gangster. She made more money than me. She was this rock star professor. And like now to this day, like she stays at home. She has her own small business, but she stays at home and like she runs the place. And I'll occasionally like, oh man, spending my money again. And I didn't realize that was kind of a jab. She felt that. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't until she committed to making the jokes that it loosened the grip. When I'd be like, hey, what are you doing today? She goes, I'm going to spend all your money. And but you get what I'm saying? Like that was her way of running directly into the anxiety.
Yep. I love that. I love that.
But that only came from us having a conversation where she said, I feel like every time you make a joke, you're kind of pointing it out. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude, I'm a walking train wreck. Like, no, spend all of it. Like you keep the lights on here, right?
Do.
Yeah.
Go. Yeah.
So, but I mean, that just is us having that story.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And can I just tell you one last thing?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think your marriage is stronger than you think it is right now. I think I've got it sounds like I got a husband who's working really hard for his family, and I have a wife who loves this guy, and y'all are he slowly started speaking Spanish and you've slowly started speaking Greek, and you just need to make a commitment to start speaking the same language again.
Thank you for that.
Is that cool?
Yep.
All right. You're awesome. I appreciate the call. Call anytime. Yeah, I love the idea of just a sweep the arm, like we used to be married like this, and now we're going to rebuild something amazing and new and cool. And let's block off half of a Saturday morning, and let's call a babysitter, or your kids may be old enough now. Let's call somebody, or they can take care of themselves for half a day, and let's just go reimagine it in the best possible way. Because we've chosen how we got here, and now we can choose whatever we want to choose moving forward. Awesome, Amy. Awesome. We'll be right back. All right, hey, I just let Amy from Indianapolis go, and I got to talking too much, and I distracted the whole conversation, and I never even answered your question, Amy.
Yeah, I'm still here.
I don't know how you say this in Latin, but I kind of blew that last call. So we talked a lot about your marriage. You called and said, how do I pay off this debt, and how do I get debt-free, and how do I teach my kid?
But at the same time, it was great because I take things personally and when we have these conversations. And so your tips on communication was really helpful.
Okay, awesome.
Super helpful.
Well, I appreciate that. You're making me feel not like I need to just get a new job. All right, so listen, here's the deal. I'm going to hook you up with a couple of tools that will walk you through it, okay?
Okay.
So you probably know I work for Ramsey Solutions, and I also co-host a whole other show that's a financial show, how to help people get out of debt, the Ramsey Show.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to send you a couple of things. Number one, I'm going to send you all the original, or they've been reshot, obviously, but the Financial Peace University videos. I'm going to send them to you for free, okay?
Okay, awesome.
And the way I've seen couples, especially when one really wants to get control of their finances and get out of debt and stop making other people rich, right? Just that piece of, if my husband loses his job, if he quits, if something were to happen to him, God forbid, we're okay because we don't owe anybody anything. Right. The most common connection I've seen people make when one really wants to do that and the other doesn't really care, doesn't care about getting out of debt or whatever, is when one person says this, I don't feel safe. I don't feel safe knowing that if something happened to you, especially if someone who works in law enforcement, that Ford doesn't care. Ford Motor Company wants their money, or our mortgage company wants their money, right? So that's number one. I'm going to send you that. The second one is the app that my wife and I use. It's called Every Dollar. I think it's the best budgeting app on the planet. I'm going to send you the premium version for a year. And here's what it does. It connects to your bank. Y'all can put the things in it. You can put all your debts in it. But when one of you buys something, it shows up for the other person too.
Okay.
It just keeps y'all connected.
Okay.
All right. And you put it in there, you budget together once a month. And I didn't know this, but turns out like budgeting and talking about calendars can turn into this wild aphrodisiac. I did not know that, but here we are. Right. But just this idea that we're going to plan the month ahead together. Right. And we're going to be on the same page together. It's pretty amazing. But this thing helps you do it in real time every day, especially when you forget, like, oh, I ran through and grabbed some Starbucks. Whatever. It pops up and you can hold each other accountable that way. But it comes down to intentionality. And then you've got a 12-year-old and a 14-year-old. What's the cognitive awareness of your special needs 14-year-old?
He just loves toys and loves to buy them and loves to buy gifts for everybody.
Okay. What's his? Where is he developmentally?
He's probably like early elementary school.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So your 12-year-old is, I think, perfect age to begin to see what the family budget looks like.
Okay.
And to begin to know, here's how much money the electric bill costs.
Yeah.
And here's how we move that money over to pay it. And this is all the money we have left. And they begin to go, oh man, wow. And so when mom says, hey, turn the lights off, they get it.
Okay.
Right? But I think bringing them in, and maybe you don't bring them into the entire conversation, but you bring them in and maybe let them hit the button and on the electric bill or the water bill, and they get to see how much it costs. And they get to participate in that. But 12, I think, is a good age to start bringing them into that conversation.
Okay. Very cool.
Is that cool?
Yeah.
All right. So those two tools will help. At the end of the day, if you want to get out of debt, you and your husband have to get on the same page, share accounts, get all that crap out on the open. Yeah. Here's what we owe. Here's what we're trying to do. Here's our side business and your side hustles and what, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
All that. We got to get on the same page. And then we just have to be intentional.
Okay.
And the debt snowball. I'm going to pay off things smallest to largest. I don't care what the interest rate is, blah, 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 blah. We're going to pay off things smallest to largest and just get the stupid stuff done.
Okay, cool.
Is that cool?
Awesome.
All right.
Yep.
Y'all commit to watching those videos together. Hang on the line here. We'll get you hooked up with those free tools. They're all digital tools, and they're awesome. And if you guys are listening to this and you think, man, this is the year I want to just not owe anybody anything. I want freedom in my own freaking house. I want peace in my house. Go to the link in the description below here, and we'll send you to all these rad tools. These are tools, I use them in my house. So there you go.